Okay, so what are the... Ah! Are you lost? Like, I swear there were less of you before. Where did you all out? Part 4 of this abstract carnival of dice and anime you will know as Nijisanji Ian as D&D characters. There are actually enough of these at this point for me to tell you to just go and watch the others, though the mic quality is worse since I got a new mic recently. If you want the rundown on how this works, well, what did I just say? Go watch the other ones. I like keeping these around 20 minutes, and since Nijisanji keeps adding more of these fuckers each wave, we're gonna have to gun. It's D&D, it's 5e, I use a modified standard array, 16, 15, 14, 12, 10, 8, Tasha's rules for racial stats, and the PHP custom backgrounds. Only other thing you need to know is that 1, my favorite class is Barbarian, and that's gonna be relevant, I promise. And 2, everyone so far has been a spellcaster, and I'm honestly kinda fucking tired about it at this point. Just a little bit. Hopefully, some of Luxiem will fix that, and since most of them are actually human, we might be in luck. Specifically, we have a great contender in Luca, so we're going to start with him. He's one of the regular ass humans with a non-magical job as a mafia boss, which would also have him beating the shit out of people, quote, whether it's to show off his own strength or to protect the weak, unquote. Poster boy for a martial class, finally, and looking like my personal favorite, which not gonna lie, that's why he's first. Besides that, his main character trait is probably being just a great guy, like a solid good boy. Golden retriever of a man, only person even close to being as good as Rosemi, and she got the cleric class for her build from how good she... Wait. Martial abilities, super protective, good boy morally on the level of a cleric. Fuck. God damn it. He's a paladin, isn't he? Great guy, strong personal code, built like a fridge, very helpful, likes to do righteous violence. He's a paladin. Who are the party cannons? Yeah, just no spellcaster. Well, at the very least, Paladin's a great fit, especially the Oath of Glory subclass, since it's all about being buff and showing off, which we've already established as kinda Luca's MO. He's going to be level 7 to get both the aura features, because his vibes are just that powerful. That might seem a little bit high for a regular, non-demonic, non-magic, non-whatever the fuck guy, but he's also one of the only Niji EN members that we know fights people, and thus, one of the only members we know could gain experience from fighting people. To keep it quick, we're going to skip over the basic Paladin abilities, since they either don't really help the build, or they're super simple like multi-attack, with the only exceptions being his fighting style and aura of protection. That one gives him vibes so immaculate, they protect those around him, and the Oath of Glory's aura of alacrity gives him and nearby allies an extra 10 feet of movement. Look at the guy can run, okay? His fighting style is unarmed, and I've just decided that Divine Smite will work fine enough if we just add enough ranks to channel Divine Smite through, even though technically unarmed attacks are not weapon attacks. It's way more fun this way, and it's almost entirely superficial, so I don't care. He also gets a set of subclass-specific channel divinities, but neither of them are super relevant. One just gives some allies shields on Smite, and the other just gives advantage on Athletics. Being a human does give him a feat, 2 total, including the one he gets at level 4, so he's getting Savage Attacker to make him hit like a truck, and Heavy Armor Master to let him take hits like a truck, since he's, well, built like a fucking truck. He also gets a bonus skill proficiency from being human, which is going to be Acrobatics, along with Athletics and Persuasion from Paladin, and Performance and Deception from his background. The last 2 are for his Lucy impersonations, along with the Language and Disguise kit, also from his background. I couldn't decide which fits best, so I just put both, and left out Intimidation because this man just isn't scary. I mean, come on. He spent over 5 hours trying and failing to be even a little bit mean. His background is obviously going to be criminal, because even if criminal contact doesn't work great for Luca, you try arguing that the career criminal isn't a criminal. Second to last are his stats, which to the surprise of no one are going to have strength and constitution as the highest. Said it before and I'll say it again, dude's built like a truck. Charisma and Dex are next since he's actually pretty flexible, being able to do the splits, some reason he got acrobatics earlier. And finally, Intelligence and Wisdom. The man's a himbo. This is known. Now, actually last and definitely fucking least are his spells. Paladins can swap their nano spells every morning, so the list item is even less important than usual. This man's meant to be smiting anyway, so just know that Roaring Bond is actually pretty good and uses jewelry, which Luca likes, and we move on. And, although Luca was a wash for finding a non-spellcaster, there's still a lot of humans in Luxiem, so one of them's gotta be good, like maybe Shu, the sorcerer. And that's not even the worst part. See, he's a jujutsu sorcerer, which focuses on curses, and D&D sorcerers don't get curses. Well, at least most sorcerers don't. Put a pin in that while I speed through the less interesting stuff. He's a variant human, which means a bonus feat and skill, modified Phalos background from getting displaced by the gods, now he's celestial lost, I guess. And his proficiencies are going to be Arcana, Athletics, Deception, History, Persuasion, along with the language and recorder instrument for his background. For stats, he did convince the gods to intervene directly with his death with a "your mom" joke to his own dad, so charisma is easily his highest, followed by intelligence from being the main tech guy of Nijisanji, strength because he do be kinda built though, not gonna lie, then con, then dex, and then finally wisdom in dead last. Now back to his curses. There is actually a way to give him some curse-like spells, and it's legal this time, I swear. The trick is the Aberrant Mind subclass, and more importantly, the Psionic Spells feature. You may be wondering how Psychic Magic will give our boy his curses, especially since the list of spells sure doesn't look any good for that, but the trick is that the default list can actually be changed, one spell per level, into a divination or enchantment spell from either the Sorcerer, Wizard, or Warlock spell list. And that's the ticket, because while Sorcerer may be kinda lacking in curses, Warlock and Wizard can more than make up the difference. But not Bestow Curse though. That one is Cleric exclusive for some reason, and it's honestly a little ass anyways, especially compared to its counterpart Remove Curse, but that's not relevant to us. Now, in order to get all the spells we need swapped, we do need to go up to level 6, which gives some ill-fitting psychic abilities, but it also means Shu gets 2 feats total, which I put towards more curses with Fae and Shadow Touch, which also put him up to 20 charisma. Those two let him add both Bane and Hideous Laughter once free and add them to his spell list, along with the less thematic but very powerful Misty Step and Invisibility. But for the spells we actually get from Psionic Spells, Hex was easy from Warlock, Dissonant Whispers is actually a bard spell, but it's thankfully already on the list. Jim's Glowing Coin hurts perception kinda like a curse if you squint hard enough at it, and then there's a couple of sorcerer spells on top, because there's actually nothing better from Warlock or Wizard, so we're really expanding the base spell list with those. Which honestly isn't a bad thing since sorcerers usually have a pathetic number of spells. Like, Shu has 17 leveled spells, and 10 of them are extras from sources other than base sorcerer. It's sad. But enough fucking spell talk. We're moving on to Ike Evelyn now, another regular human and one with an actual job, unlike somebody else. He's a writer, or as he'd say, a novelist. While book nerd does definitely sound like a wizard thing, they're more interested in magic textbooks, not stories. And Ike has more going on anyway. Like, he can actually be at least kind of intimidating with Eki Eveland, unlike someone else. He can sing real good, even including Screamo. He's a brown belt in karate, did parkour, and has 4 fucking guitars. What wizard would have 4 guitars, right? What person in general has 4 guitars? Oh, he's a bard, isn't he? Whatever. Disappointment is a fact of life, and say the guy with 4 instruments, insane skill versatility / expertise, and insane performance ability isn't the class focused on instruments, skill versatility, expertise, and insane performance ability would be dumb as hell. The only surface level issue is the whole novelist thing, and I say surface level because the most well-known and traditional bard subclass is lore, the one all about recounting stories and tales. This does mean Ike needs to be at least level 3 to get the subclass, but thankfully no higher since he's just a regular-ass writer with no special powers in lore. Less fortunately, one of the things College of Lore gives is an extra 3 skill proficiencies. And when we include the 3 Bard give, and the 1 extra from Human, and the background ones, Ike ends up with 9 total skill proficiencies. Those will end up in Arcana, History, Nature, and Religion, all the intelligence ones minus Investigation. Persuasion, Performance, and Intimidation. He's a nice guy who can sing and plays guitar and can be spooky with Eki. And finally, Athletics and Acrobatics for his karate and parkour. His background is going to be Sage to get the Researcher feature, it's real nice, with the Language and Instrument proficiency to get 1 of his guitars. He also gets a feat from being a bland, boring human, which is going to be Magic Initiate to grab spells from the Cleric spell list, specifically Thaumaturgy, which is a Cleric exclusive, lets him boost his voice up to 3 times volume, which I think Ike can actually do naturally. He also gets Guidance and Bless since he's a nice guy and helps out, and mostly because they're really good spells that aren't hindered by the 8 wisdom Ike is getting. Oh, don't act surprised. Man is lactose intolerant and drinks milk based, honestly, and drinks, or at least did drink, his own body weight and energy drinks. Did you know that Red Bulls warn against drinking more than 2 per day? I sure didn't, or at least he didn't care. But speaking of stats, 18 Charisma, 16 Intelligence, 14 Dex, 12 Strength, 10 Con, and again 8 Wisdom. So for his Bard abilities... Oh, what? You want me to explain the stats? Fine. Wisdom already explained. Charisma and Intelligence, obvious. Bard that's a book nerd. Dex and Strength from Parkour and Karate. And Constitution's just what's left. Anyway, his Bard abilities are pretty much just the basic ones, thankfully. Bardic Inspiration, Jack of all trades, Song of Rest, Expertise in Performance and Persuasion. You've seen the man saying, or at least you should have, honestly, already ranted about the subclass bonus proficiencies. And finally, Cutting Words. Now, Evelyn isn't really one for roasts, but maybe it's him letting Evelyn out, or maybe it's just him using a bunch of big words. The ability does say it can distract or confuse, so that work. And lastly, his spells. Who cares? I don't. Spells aren't why I made him a bard. I'm fucking tired of spells. And we're barely halfway done, and we're already at
11 minutes and 6-ish seconds.
He gets support spells. No Vicious Mockery because no roasts. You can look up the rest yourself. After we talk about Vox Akuma. And I'm not going to bullshit you by pretending I don't already know what everyone's build is before recording. You know this man's a demon. You already know he's gonna have magic. Let's just move on. He's Devil Tongue's Tiefling, because he's a demon. Fiend Warlock, because he's a demon who's also a swordsman with a magic flaming sword, and Warlock is just how you do that. More specifically, you do that with the bonus damage from Life Drinker, which is only available at level 12, so that's Vox's level. Working backwards down his features, he also gets level 6 Mystic Arcanum, casting one 6th level spell once per day without slots, because Warlocks are weird, and let's give him the Summon Fiend spell for his boy Onigiri. Next is Fiendish Resistance, which lets him get resistance to one damage type, and if, for example, all your enemies use swords that only deal one type of damage, that's all you really need. Then Dark One's Own Luck adds a d10 to a check or save once a day. Not worth the name, in my opinion. And then Packed Boon Blade, again for the swordsman. Invocations, we already covered Life Drinker, with Vox also getting Cloak of Flies for bonus group damage, Thirsting Blade, improved Pack Weapon, and Eldritch Smite to make his sword better, and finally, Armor of Shadows. Since this man can't even close his fucking robes properly, you think he's gonna wear armor? No, of course not. His tits, out. His blade, flaming. His clan, dead. Completely. 100%. Never coming back. Totally his fault, honestly. I mean, they're really dead. He also gets Dark One's Blessing. Yeah, that's really the naming convention for Fiend Warlocks. Temp hit points on kill, which is actually really good in big group fights against weak fodder, especially good since it's its only real form of sustain. Expanded Spell List gives nothing we'll use, and spellcasting, which I'll cover in a second. He ends up getting 3 ASI or feats, first being Sentinel, because if there's one thing Vox was better at than talking, it was murdering people that ran from him. Next, Diplomat lets him charm people for free. He is the voice demon after all, that's kind of his thing. And gives him +1 charisma. And to contextualize that bonus right away, let's cover stats. 19 charisma total from Diplomat, 16 strength since unlike Hexblade Warlocks, his melee attacks can't use charisma, 14 dex, 12 con, 10 int, 8 whiz. Now, for that third feat you could give him Warcaster, it'd be the smart choice, help keep his spells up, but also be left with 19 charisma, or, in my case, I wouldn't be able to specifically, deliberately choose to give him 19 charisma by putting a +2 ASI into strength. But why would I deliberately handicap his best stat? Because this man has no ass. He's an assless lad, a dumb truckless fuck. Max charisma is stored in the ass, and Vox Akuma is fucking lacking. But regardless of how much I enjoy making memes at Vox's expense, he does still get a background, some skills, and some spells. Folk Hero fits well enough for a well-loved small-town leader, and while Noble would maybe be more technically accurate, he led a very small number of people who no longer exist on account of being super dead, so the position of privilege wouldn't really be a good fit. His proficiencies from that will be cook's utensils, taken from his liked topics, and a language, with all the charisma skill proficiencies, because that is kind of his brand, deception, intimidation, performance, persuasion, with Diplomat functionally giving him expertise in that one. Finally, his spells. Spirit Shroud makes Hex obsolete for a melee warlock, Devil's Tongue already gives him some voice magic, takes some other charm, control, manipulation spells, as well as Summon Greater Demon for Bulgura to bring out Vox's monkey Bubba. The reason Bubba can sometimes go feral on Vox's non-existent ass while Onigiri can't is because Vox is a fucking snitch who gave Bubba over to the cops for a quote-unquote felony. And speaking of fucking snitches, last in line is the professional snitch himself, Mr. Reyes. He's some kind of part canine thing. I think Nina at some point said he was like half fox, so shit would be the best for... Huh? It's just a hat? Oh, so a furry then. Detective? But he's... Yeah? But then he would be... Oh my god. He's a rogue! He's not a spellcaster! Now, as exciting as this is, and given that this is the 15th character sheet I've made, it being the first non-magic one is exciting, there is something of a problem with it. You see, the reason Mysta is so concretely a rogue is because of the subclasses. Specifically, Mastermind or Inquisitive. Those are the detective options. Now, there are two issues with this. One specific to Inquisitive, which is that it is focused on insight, a wisdom skill. And Mysta has no wisdom. Honestly, which I can give him less than 8. This isn't even a spoiler, this is just a known fact. The second issue is unfortunately more problematic, and that is that while rogues get their subclass at level 3, Mysta is the singular most pathetic creature in existence. This means he should be level 1, right? Right. No clown music bit this time, just put him on that tier list, we're busy. Anyway, I found a way to fix both problems, and that is by ignoring both of them. Most builds already have their subclass figured out by level 1 anyways, and honestly, having a -1 to one of the most important stats doesn't actually kill the build, because Rogue. Speaking of stats, his highest is actually going to be Constitution, because I refuse to believe he'd have survived this long if it wasn't. I mean, this dude ate mold directly off of his desk, and that's not even for sure his dumbest moment. I didn't give him trash wisdom for no reason. Same with his intelligence at 10. His second highest is going to be Charisma, then Dex, which is normally Rogue's most important stat, and finally Strength, bridging the gap down to Intelligence and Wisdom. To get the rest of the obvious stuff done, Rogues give him Thieves' Cant, Sneak Attack, and Expertise in Perception and Investigation, spoilers, because he is a detective, and his background is going to be Investigator, because he is a detective. He's getting a Language and a Game Set Proficiency from the background, the D&D Universal Shorthand for I don't know what the fuck to put instead, as well as skill proficiencies in Perception, again, Investigation, again, Animal Handling, Insight, Deception, Stealth, and Intimidation. That one might be weird if you aren't an avid Mystic. That's the actual name of his fans, I know it's great. But ask his fans. They are afraid of him. God damn, are they afraid of that man. Now, finally, we get to the interesting bit. There's not a lot of choices at level 1, but Mysta does get a feat, and it's a surprisingly contentious choice. On one hand, Empathetic gives Mysta expertise and insight, and a genuinely really good investigatory ability. And if you're dead set on going Inquisitive Rogue instead of Mastermind, you should really take that. But I never expect this build to get past level 1 anyway, and it's so much funnier to give quote Master Chef unquote Mr. Reyes the Poisoner feat, so we're gonna do that instead. Does it make a lot of sense? Not really. Is it good for the build? Kinda. Do I care? No, of fucking course not. Have you somehow skipped all previous videos and skipped straight to the Mysta section of this video? I'm doing this for kicks, and this is fucking funny. But now we're out of kicks. For now. And actually, under 20 minutes. I swear I'm not gonna care next time. If Noctix takes 40 fucking minutes, so be it. But, with all said and done, thank you for watching. Seriously, the support of these amalgamations of dumb jokes and bullshit has been incredible. I mean, did you see the opening bit? Over 150 views is insane to me. My next video will probably be something pretty different, but I'm planning on making some shorts like these in the meantime, if that's all you care for. And I've started streaming if you want something completely different. Those streams might even have some very unsubtle spoilers for future videos. But anyway, thank you so much again. Don't forget to love each other, and I'll see you next time.